I come on here, and the first thing I see is, of course, our buddy Dan Mitchell coming in the stream. How you doing, Dan? Good to see you. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this live Thursday edition of Believers Talk. Guys, I hope you are all having a wonderful week, and we will get into some Buffalo Bills news today. Obviously, Brandon Beane had his presser today, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Spent an hour with some of the Bills media talking about what's going on with Bills Mafia, how they're getting ready for the NFL draft. Dan, I want to thank you for the $5 donation. Get yourself a vodka Red Bull. He just wants to hear me say some words that I normally don't say, that I said when myself, and Mario from #Sports did our live stream last week. That was a lot of fun. Always willing to do a live stream with you guys. You know that. Always love talking Buffalo sports with you guys. Can you guys see me? Let me know if you could see me, because I can't see me. So, I mean, I don't need to see me, but if you guys could see me, that's awesome. Kevin, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. We're going to talk about the presser. We're also going to talk about some contract news. Hey, Austin, how you doing? Tyler Matekovic contract information came out today, and, you know, it's not as awesome as I thought it was going to be. It's really not. I'm not a fan of the contract when they broke it down. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the contract. You guys will hopefully help me feel better. But again, I want to make sure you guys see me, because, again, I can't see me. So Daniel, Jack Patrick's in here too. Glad you guys can make it in here. Daniel, I did catch Beane's press conference, and we are going to talk about it. I'm still waiting to see if you guys can see me. Tell me to stop all the cam talk. Oh, I'll get into that, especially if Dan wants to hear me swear. I just want to make sure you guys can see me. Okay, good. You guys can see me. Then I don't care. Don't really care about if I can see myself. But guys, let's start this over. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this Thursday night live edition of Believers Talk. Yes, we're going to talk about the Brandon Beane presser, where he held a press kind of like a media day, was with the Buffalo Bills media for an hour today, answering some questions. I want to talk about some of the things he talked about, some things he said, and some of the things that didn't even come up. There were some topics that, if I were asking questions, I would have wanted Brandon Beane to answer. Everyone's coming in saying they can see me. I appreciate it. Cliff, welcome to Believers Talk. Anthony, always good to see you. And again, guys, if you're not subscribed to Believers Talk, hit that subscribe button. Dan, thank you for coming in here. Thank you for the $5 donation. And he wants me to give, I normally actually just drink vodka and tea. I'm not a vodka Red Bull person. I can't stay up late anymore, Dan. I'm not as young as I used to be. I'll take a vodka tea, and I'll take an aspirin, and I'll go to bed. All right, like that's how it works. So shortly after the stream last week, that's exactly what happened. I had one more vodka and tea, and I passed out, woke up. I think it was Saturday I woke up. I forget what day the stream was exactly, and maybe I just forget because I was drunk. I don't know. But but I woke up and I was actually feeling pretty good. So yeah, welcome to Dan Mitchell. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Dan. Always good to have you guys in here. So first, let's wait till everyone gets in here again, guys. 9 people in here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like this video, let other people know that we are here live right now talking about the Buffalo Bills. Dan, you guys are funny. 13-3 says Austin Church. We'll get into predictions later. Obviously, we gotta hope that there's a season that happens at all at this point, right? A lot of things already shutting down in June and July. You talk about the PGA Tour shutting down the U.S. Open, which isn't until July, I believe it is, June, maybe late June. So that's already getting shut down. So we see some of these major sports shutting things down in June, July, getting awfully close to where the NFL would have to push back the start of their NFL season. But we'll talk about that. Straight vodka, says Daniel. No, I'm not. Again, I'm not a young man anymore. Remember that. There's gray in here. Most of it because of you guys and the Buffalo Bills. But there's gray in here now. So, you know, I can't be doing that vodka straight up doing lemon drops until 2 in the morning. I mean, I never did that. I'm just saying maybe that could be something that you do. Dan brought me here. Hey, Hexy, glad to see you. Thank you, Dan, for promoting my channel a little bit. Again, guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We are going to talk about the presser from earlier today if you're just joining me. So again, thank you for joining me, and hit that thumbs up button. So let's start with the presser, right? So Brandon Beane spent an hour with the media today, and it was very informative. And in fact, I found a lot of key information in there that Brandon Beane said that maybe he didn't even mean to say. He just kind of was not in his element when he was at the press conference, and said things that maybe he wished he wouldn't have said, including the possibility of the Buffalo Bills trading up into the second round of the NFL draft. Now, he talked about the first round a little bit, and it seemed like they were content with the idea of not getting back up into the first round, which, again, as Dan talked about in one of his shows, he talked about the Buffalo Bills potentially moving up to the first round, and it just didn't seem like the smart play. And I agree with that, because there would just be way too many. Hey, Heisenberg, welcome to Believers Talk. Thank you for the $2.99 donation. What's good? Let's go, Buffalo. And that's all we're talking about here. We're talking about our Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane's presser today. And again, we'll talk more about some contract information. I do want to talk about some things that weren't brought up at the presser that I would have asked Brandon Beane about if I would have been given the opportunity. But unfortunately, I'm not that popular yet. You know, maybe I could get Dan to go on to the presser and ask some questions for me. Because again, there's some information that I would have loved to hear from Brandon Beane earlier that just did not come out. So we're talking about the presser. Hey Tom, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. Glad you're in here. Philadelphia Sports Talk. Hey Sonny. Hey Dan. Thank you for hooking me up, man. That's awesome. I look forward to your live stream tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I believe it is. So let me plug you there. Tomorrow, if you don't know, Dan started this live streaming. Man, it's fun, right? So much fun. Dan started his tomorrow at 6. Every Friday at 6 o'clock. So Dan, you gave me a shout out. I appreciate it. And guys, if you're not already subscribed to Believers Talk, hit that subscribe button for continual Buffalo Bills news. But check out Dan's live stream tomorrow. Dan Mitchell, Don Mafia. He does a great job. So go ahead and check him out as well. So let's talk more about the presser from today with Brandon Beane. There's a lot to talk about, actually, and one of the things that he brought up, like I said, he seemed content with the idea that the Buffalo Bills were not going to draft in the first round, but it was very interesting to me how they're going to handle the first round of the NFL draft. First, he said they're going to put on some Stephon Diggs highlights when the pick gets to number 22 and remind themselves what they got for that 22nd overall pick, and that's Stephon Diggs. I'm still really happy about the trade. I don't understand why it asked me not to show. I don't understand that, but that's okay. Dan asked me if I wanted to show one of the things you've sent, and for it wasn't something you swore in, so maybe YouTube's just used to it. YouTube's like, oh, Dan sent this. Oh, we have to make sure that whoever the moderator or the YouTube channel creator is okay with this because Dan sent it. We gotta be careful. Joe's mock draft, Austin. I'll be coming up with a mock draft in probably about 2 weeks, right? Draft's in 3 weeks, so I'll be coming up with a mock draft in 2 weeks or so. Again, I'll be doing the whole first round, which again won't be as exciting since the Buffalo Bills are not going to be in, but I'll do a full Buffalo Bills mock draft as well, and that might show a trade in the second round. Again, I think Brandon Beane said more than he meant to say in this press conference. I mean, not only did Brandon Beane say they were looking into trading into the first round, it made it almost seem like that was their plan. Their plan was to move up in the second round. Here's what he said, and I'm going to break it down. If you haven't watched the press conference, it is available on YouTube, so you can definitely, when you're done watching here, definitely go back to the Buffalo Bills YouTube channel and check out the presser that he held today. But he said that at the end of day one, the Buffalo Bills, him and whoever else is in the room with him, are going to go over their big board and see who is left available and see if they have any guys on their big board that they would have drafted on day one if they would have had the opportunity, and see how long those guys last in the second round and at what point they feel like they should move up to grab maybe one of those guys that they had a first round value on. Again, comparing it to last year with Cody Ford. Now, if you remember last year, they only moved up, I believe they only moved up 2 or 3 spots, right? They didn't move up far. They traded both their 4th round picks to move up, I believe, maybe not, maybe that was the 3rd round. But anyway, they moved up 2 or 3 spots to pick up Cody Ford. I could very easily see the Buffalo Bills trading up into the second round, and it sounds like Brandon Beane can too. Obviously, nothing's set in stone yet. We are still not 100% sure the draft's even going to happen, but it seems like it is. And so we want to see what Brandon Beane does. Again, I could easily see moving up in the second round. Everyone's coming in here. Let me read some of your comments. Thank you guys for coming in. I only smoke your Ted's coming in here saying some things with seeds. I'm saying that trash bag. Thanks. I can see the Bills drafting a running back with their second round pick, says Sonny. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you with that second round pick. In fact, if you listen to Cover One, Greg Thompson had a show earlier today, and he talked about the possibility of a running back. And the great thing about having a wide receiver deep draft is if teams go ahead and take the wide receivers now, then some of those running backs, some of those other skill positions might fall back, and you'll have that available for the Buffalo Bills sitting there with the 53rd overall pick. That's their first pick. You smoke gasoline, sounds risky, says Joe Nelson. We doing all right with free agency if Diggs comes to play, not talk. And he talked about Stephon Diggs a lot. A lot of the questions during the presser were about Stephon Diggs. And unfortunately, as Brandon Beane said, he did his homework on and I should say fortunately, not unfortunately. Fortunately, Brandon Beane did his homework on Stephon Diggs, and he feels like that Stephon Diggs is going to be a good fit for the Buffalo Bills. As Brandon Beane said, there's two sides to every story, and he is sure that if Stephon Diggs could do things differently with that situation in Minnesota, he would have. But now it's a clean slate, and that's how Stephon Diggs has to look at it. That's how the Buffalo Bills front office has to look at it. And to be honest, that's how we as fans have to look at it. There is a lot of talk coming out of Minnesota that Stephon Diggs is a good teammate. So we got to take them at their word and take a look into that and say, hey, if Stephon Diggs was a good teammate, just was in a bad situation, didn't like the situation he was in, then maybe coming to Buffalo is the right move for him. We know that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are continually in communication during this quarantine time. And again, guys, I can't say this enough. I hope you are all being safe out there and heeding the CDC warnings, trying to practice social distancing. I know it's hard. I am going nuts down here from time to time, but guys, just make sure you're practicing social distancing and keeping everyone safe. We can beat this thing, and we're going to. And the faster we do it, the faster we get to regular season football, and I'm excited for that. Scott Blake says defensive end in the second round. So Scott Blake comes up with defensive end. If you watched my episode today, this afternoon that I put out there, I talk about the defensive end. Guys, we already have 7 defensive ends on this roster. And if you look at the Buffalo Bills 90-man roster from 2019, we actually only had 6. Now, that doesn't mean we can't add more defensive end. We only currently have 69 players on what could be a 90-man roster, so plenty of room to add players. But I'm just saying, defensive end, we only had 6 guys last year. We already have 7 this year. Are we going to look heavily at the defensive end position? That's something to consider. What do I think about Clowney? Austin Church said, or asked, for those of you who don't know, Jadeveon Clowney has said that he will take a pay cut to go with the team, but he's still looking at the $16-17 million range. Guys, we recently learned the contract of our newest linebacker, and again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm a little annoyed about that, but Tyler Matakovic, we got his contract details, going to make it $3.45 million this year. Puts our estimated cap space, according to SpotTrack.com, at $22.8 million. And if you look at that, that does not include 3 contracts. We still don't know what EJ Gaines is going to make this year. We still don't know what Isaiah McKenzie is going to make this year. We still don't know what Darrell Williams is going to be making this year. So if you look at that 22, I don't know if we could afford a Jadeveon Clowney. I just don't think that's in the cards for the Buffalo Bills. We don't have enough money there, and that's okay. Jack Patrick says trade Trey White. I do want to talk about Trey White. I do, because I'm surprised his name wasn't even brought up in the press conference. At least I didn't hear it. I did skip through some parts, but I didn't even hear Tre'Davious White's name. I heard Matt Milano's name. I heard Deion Dawkins' name when they were talking about restructuring contracts. You didn't even hear Tre'Davious White's name, and there might be something to be said about that. Again, I want to talk about what Brandon Beane did say, but I also want to talk about what he didn't say, and there might be some cryptic messages in there. I hope not. I hope that there's nothing going on between the Buffalo Bills and Tre'Davious White other than contract negotiations. But as a commenter reminded me, and you might be watching right now, it takes 2 to tango, so to speak. You need both sides to want to have a deal with Buffalo. Obviously, there's a lot going on with this coronavirus, and we're unsure about what this football season holds. So it could simply be they're waiting to figure out what's going to happen next. But it's kind of scary. Here we are, April of 2020. May is going to be the deadline to sign that fifth year option. Obviously, if we don't have a deal in place, then we're going to sign Tre'Davious White's 5th-year option. But that doesn't mean we still can't trade him. That doesn't mean things can't happen down the line. I want to get a contract extension done, but as I just brought up the cap numbers, it's getting a little dicey if we have the money to go after and re-sign Tre'Davious White to a long-term, bigger contract. I'm not sure. Punter not until 7th or undrafted pickup. There are some punters available, and if you've been a fan of the show in the NFL draft, if you've been a fan of the show, I've been saying we need a new punter for months. I'm sure a lot of you have too. Just our punting situation, our special team situation, which is another thing Brandon Beane addressed in the presser today, talking about special teams, talking about bringing back Taewon Jones, talking about bringing in Tyler Matakovich from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He talked about addressing special teams. He felt like the special teams improved from 2018 to 2019, but he said he didn't feel they were good enough to be elite, and that's what the Buffalo Bills, that's what Coach McDermott, that's what Brandon Beane wants. They want an elite special teams unit. They want an elite defensive unit, and they want an elite offensive unit, and they're doing what they can to get that done. So again, the presser was today. Some of the things he talked about moving up in the second round, and he didn't just talk about like it could happen. It sounded like he was ready to make it happen. He sounded like that they were ready to go, especially if one of the players they had first round value on is available in the second round. And if you watched, again, Dan Mitchell talked about this. I'm pretty sure Hashtag Sports had an episode on this as well. So make sure you're checking out their channels to see what they're up to. Truth to hearts, Bill Belichick made the Corona so he can get an extra year to build a team. Speaking of Bill Belichick, that's something else Brandon Beane talked about during the press conference. Obviously, if you're watching Buffalo Bills news, it's what's leading the headline from the press conference. He made a point to say that the New England Patriots, led by Bill Belichick, are still front runners to win the AFC East. The Vegas odds to win the division came out earlier this week, and they agree. I believe they have the New England Patriots at plus 300 to win the division, and they have the Buffalo Bills at plus 350. Not far behind, but they still have the Buffalo Bills behind the New England Patriots as far as percent likelihood to win the division. Again, we don't know if Bill Belichick made Tom Brady or if Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. That's something we're going to find out a lot this year. But if Bill Belichick made Tom Brady, who's to say he can't do that with another quarterback? Who's to say that someone else can't come in, whether it be in the draft or whether it be someone they have on their team, or maybe they trade for someone or sign a free agent. Maybe Andy Dalton goes there and he shows us that he's still got some good years left. Or something like that. Cam Newton is still up in the air. The reports say that the Patriots are not interested in a Cam Newton, but reports come and go, right? Remember when we were reported to be signing Antonio Brown or trading for Antonio Brown? Didn't work out that way. So we're going to see what happens with the New England Patriots and the quarterback situation. But who's to say that the Buffalo or that New England Patriots are still not the favorites to win the AFC East? I'll put my house on the Bills winning the AFC, says Dan Mitchell. Not sure how your girl's gonna feel about that, but okay. I won't tell her. I won't say a thing. I'm not gonna put my house on it, but I'm gonna put some money on it. You better believe I'm going to put some money on it. Again, thanks a lot, Dan, for your for sending out the messages, letting people come in here. Again, guys, my name is Joe from Billievers Talk. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Continual Buffalo Bills news. We go live just about every Thursday. We give you live play-by-play reaction to every single game, whether it be myself here on Billievers Talk or our friends Mario and Paul over at Hashtag Sports. Play-by-play, and we can all chat together. We can all be part of the conversation during every single Buffalo Bills game. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I'll put all $5 in my bank account on the Jets winning the division, says Ted. I mean, the Jets haven't really done much in free agency. The Jets still have some work to do. I do think Sam Darnold is a good fit for the New York, New Jersey, Jets, Jets. But I just don't know where the Jets are going. I'm just not sure. And Adam Gase, as we've talked about with Dan and others, Adam Gase just seems to be a cancer when he goes to a team, and he just seems to bring out the worst in that team. And unfortunately for the Jets, they haven't seen it yet, and they're going to keep him for at least one more season. Extend Matt Milano and Trey White. Kevin comes in. You have to think about what this means for those guys, right? If we're not extending them now, when are we going to extend Trey White? When are we going to extend Matt Milano? Remember, Brandon Beane keeps saying, and he said in this press conference too, that some of these guys want to test the market. Some of these guys want to see what they're worth. And maybe he's talking about Tre'Davious White. Maybe he's talking about Matt Milano. Maybe he's talking about some of these guys that we think are going to be Bills guys for a long time. Maybe those are the type of guys that want to test free agency. Now, I hope that the Buffalo Bills make Tre'Davious White the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. Again, currently the highest paid corner is, I think, making $16.5 million per season. I would love to see him at 18 mil with incentives up to 20 mil, as one of my commenters suggested last time we went live. So I would love to see a contract like that. But again, if Tre'Davious White wants to test his market, see what he's worth, he can do that. Now he'll have 2 years to wait to do that, because there's no way the Buffalo Bills are not going to franchise tag, or not franchise tag, but there's no way they're not going to put out that 5th-year option. But that puts up a good point too. He could wait 3 years if the Buffalo Bills decide to franchise tag him after they sign that 5th-year option. So there could still be 3 years with Tre'Davious White in Buffalo before he's even in the free agent market. Maybe they're waiting to re-sign him again to figure out what's going on with this season with the coronavirus before they move on to the next. Trevor will be extended next year, says Daniel. I hope so. I really hope so. Remember, we have to decide this offseason, though, if we want to extend, use that 5th-year option on Tre'Davious White. Again, I think we will, but I think we have till May, and that might be pushed back due to the coronavirus. And speaking of May 9th is currently the expected date for the Buffalo Bills and the NFL schedule to be released. When it's released, you better believe probably all of us Bills YouTubers will be talking about it right here on Believers Talk and on each respective channel. So make sure you're tuning in at that time. But right now, the expected schedule release date is May 9th. Normally, it's right before the NFL draft. Normally, we'd be getting ready to hear it around now, maybe next week or so. I think last year it came out on April 7th. So, normally it would be around this time. But it looks like the NFL is going to wait till the beginning of May to push out their schedule. And so we'll see. I know a lot of you have been excited about how many primetime games will the Bills get. You've been excited about when will the Bills be home, when will the Bills be going out west. Do the Bills have a London game this year? Hopefully, if we do, it's an away game against the Miami Dolphins, but we'll see what happens. Cliff comes in and says thoughts on Hausch money. Stephen Hauschka, of course, had a rough season at the beginning of the year last year for the Buffalo Bills. But as I've said on this channel before, I think at the end of the season, he really came on strong. I mean, look at that playoff game. He looked really good in that playoff game. I think he went 5 for 5 on field goals in that playoff game for the Buffalo Bills. We only had 1 touchdown in that game. Still end up with 19 points. We lose 22-19. So as I look at Stephen Hauschka's stats now, 34. He'll be 35 to start next season. He was 5 for 5 on field goals from 20 to 29 yards. He went 7 for 8 on field goals from 30 to 39. You would love to see that number perfected as well. 9 of 10 from field goals from 40 to 49, and then he was really struggling on 50-plus yard field goals, only going 1 from 5. But remember, we're 2 years removed from Stephen Hauschka tying the record for most consecutive 50-plus yard field goals made. So maybe we give him another chance, give him another year. We just extended his contract last offseason. If you remember right, we just extended him. So I expect to see Stephen Hauschka back in 2020 for the Buffalo Bills, and I expect to see him hopefully do better than 1 for 5 from 50-plus yard field goals. Also, he went 30 for 32 on extra points. Would really love him to be perfect on extra points. The first year the Bills had him, he was 29 of 29 on extra points. But you're talking about his field goal percentage last season, 78.6% in the regular season. But like I said, you also have to take a look at those playoff numbers, and in the playoffs, he went 4 for 4 from field goals last year and really kept the Bills in that game, including that field goal at the end of regulation. You want to talk about a pressure kick to force overtime. He was really good there, so really appreciate that. Scott Blakely is in the house. Welcome, Scott, to Believers Talk. Thank you for that $4.99 donation. Terrell Lewis from Alabama, edge rusher, is an athletic freak, and maybe there at 54, best player available if he is. Goodbye, Trent. I've been talking about Trent on this show a lot, and maybe that's what we're waiting for, and that's a good point by you, Scott, and thank you again for the $4.99 donation. Maybe we're waiting to see if an edge is available in the draft before we decide what to do with Trent Murphy. Trent Murphy is due to make $9 million this coming season, $7 million of which is $2 million of which is dead cap money, which means we'd save ourselves about $7 million if we just cut Trent Murphy. So why do we still have him on this team? I'm not sure. Obviously, that's something we'll dive into a little bit more as we get past the NFL draft and see what the Buffalo Bills plan to do. But Terrell Lewis from Alabama would be a great pick if he's available. His stock keeps rising, however. Again, his stock is going up and up and up. But maybe he's one of those guys that Brandon Beane's willing to trade up a little bit for. We still, like I said, we still have 7 draft picks this year in the NFL draft. Plenty of draft capital. We have all our picks next year minus a 4th-round pick. I am not a fan of using future capital for the current draft, but Sometimes it has to be done, and I'm okay with losing it for a day 3 type pick, right? Who you're taking a chance on anyway. I really hate losing those first 2 day picks, right? You're talking about rounds 1, 2, and 3. I want to keep those intact as much as possible. But you're talking about rounds 4, 5, 6, 7. If you can trade those to help you move up just a little bit more, then I'm okay with that. Again, some of these comments coming in. Again, guys, thank you for the comments. Really appreciate them. Happy to go over most of your questions. If your question flies by, I don't get a chance to read it. First of all, I apologize. You can post it again. But if you want to make sure I read it, I'm going to read every single super chat. Super chat gets, of course, the high priority there. And again, I appreciate it. All the money gained will go right back into the channel. So again, thank you very much. Big Hose, still loving my eyebrows, aren't you? Still loving my eyebrows. But hey, if you're talking bad about my eyebrows, then you're not talking bad about my content, so I appreciate that. But it's good to see you in here. I think we will cut Trent, says Ghost. I agree with that. I think that we will cut Trent as well. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Is he a potential trade candidate on draft day to help move up a little bit? Maybe. We talk about some teams that need edge rushers. There are some teams out there desperate for edge rushers. Are they willing to take on a $9 million contract in Trent Williams? Maybe trade, maybe help us move up later in the draft. Who knows? I don't think Trent Murphy. I don't know why I keep saying Trent Williams. Trent Murphy. I don't think Trent Murphy is good enough to move from the second round to the first round. I don't think he's that good. But maybe he helps us move to late 53 to maybe 47, something like that, to help us move up and get a player of interest if the Buffalo Bills decide to go that route. Thank you. Thanks a lot, because I appreciate it. Trent's on the team because they don't have an upgrade available, and he's a better DE than some fans realize. But again, maybe he's there for trade value. Hopefully, the Bills can get a good trade for him, move up, and get another defensive end, a younger defensive end, might see more snaps. Remember, Trent Murphy did have the first interception for the Buffalo Bills defense this year against Eli Manning. I'm not sure if you remember that week too, but he did have that one interception. Am I the only Alaskan you know that's a Bills fan? Actually, funny story, I actually have a cousin. I don't know if she's a Bills fan or not. I was actually in their wedding when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I was the ring bearer, and she actually lives in Alaska. Where in Alaska? Don't know. Don't ask before you. But yeah, she lives in Alaska. Again, not sure if her and husband are Bills fans, but I do have a cousin that lives in Alaska. But I'm glad that you're joining me from Alaska. Thank you very much for joining me. And if anyone knows about cold weather, it's you guys up there. So if you're from Buffalo, complain about the cold, just talk to where did I see? Sunny out there in Alaska, and they'll talk to you about cold weather. Buffalo, the place to be if they want a ring. $9 million per year is mid-tier for starting defensive end. But again, if we can move up by trading him in the draft and get a younger tight end who will then be forced, draft cap wise, to take a certain amount of money, and might be just as good, might be middle tier. We can get middle tier defensive end in the second round for a lot less than $9 million a year. So those are some of the things that Brandon Beane talked about during his press conference. One thing that I did want to talk about, who do I think the Bills will draft at 54? Jacob asks, and Jacob, thank you for joining me. I think this is your first time here, at least the first time I've seen a comment, so thank you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button. So who do I think the Bills will draft at 54? I'm not throwing wide receiver completely out of the mix. Remember, last year the Buffalo Bills on their 90-man roster had 13 wide receivers. If Chase Claypool or Mims, let's say Mims is available at 54, that's where the Bills are going. Denzel Mims is a late first, early second round talent. If the Buffalo Bills feel like Denzel Mims is worth a 54th round pick or 54th overall pick, which I think he's worth that, that's where the Buffalo Bills are going to go. I think Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills have done a great job this offseason at making sure they have the option to pick best player available when it comes to the NFL draft, and I truly think that's what they're going to do. At the end of day one, as Brandon Beane said in the press conference, they're going to look at their big board and see if there are any players still available that have first round grades on their big board, the grades that they give them. And if there are, they're going to watch on day 2 to see how far these guys drop and see if it's worth trading up to possibly go after and get them. So I'm not taking wide receiver out of the mix. It really all depends, of course, how the trade falls to us when we're sitting there at 54, unless, again, we trade up earlier into round 2. Karen's in the house. Welcome to Billievers Talk, Karen. Always glad to have you in here. Do I think that the old saying, paying for the Buffalo tax is dead and gone now? Players are signing with the team day one of free agency, and even the players like Diggs are excited to join the Bills. I think that this most recent contract that came out, Tyler, I'm going to mispronounce his last name. You guys know that already because I am terrible with names. But I believe that Tyler Matakovic's money here is a little higher than what I would have spent for him. You're talking about $3.45 million for a special teams guy. Either the Buffalo Bills have more in store for him than just special teams, or you just paid too much, in my opinion, for a special teams guy. However, remember what Brandon Beane said at the press conference. He wants the special teams to be elite. And the only way to get elite talent at special teams sometimes is to pay for them. And maybe a way to get, which would be the Buffalo tax, but I feel like anyone would pay this tax. The way to get a good player early on is to pay him a little bit more, right? When free agency starts, you find a good player. He says, my worth is what? 2.5 mil. You say, okay, I'll pay $1 million more than that to sign with the Buffalo Bills right now, right? Sign with us right now. No need to go looking out elsewhere. And he did. And so maybe that's going to be worth it down the line. Tell me what you guys think of the Tyler Matakovic trade, or the signing. $3.45 million. Just hit yes or no. Yes if you like the signing, no if you don't. Now that we know the value of it, I'm in the middle. I really am. At first, I really liked it. I really liked the idea of bringing him in from Pittsburgh, a really good special teams guy. I mean, he had 2 blocked punts last season. This guy knows how to get pressure on the punter and makes things happen, right? So even in special teams, you talk about shifting a protection scheme or anything like that. I just killed a mosquito, guys, so I hope you guys don't mind. But you talk about shifting a protection scheme on special teams, that gives the Buffalo Bills a lot of advantages with a guy like Tyler. Again, let me know if you guys think that was a good signing or not. Now that we know that for year one's going to be $3.45 million. Austin comes in and says middle as well. And that's where I'm at. I'm in the middle. I just don't know. Obviously, we'll see the production that he provides us in 2020. Hopefully, it'll be worth it. Word's gotten around. McBean has the Buffalo stampeding, says Dan. I'm just calling you Dan. You always told me to call you Dan. I'm going to call you Dan. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Buffalo tax is a myth by a lot of Buffalonians anyway. I've always thought that. I know that the Buffalo Bills, it seems like, have paid higher prices for players, but I honestly think that's because we've had bad management, not because there's a Buffalo tax. I believe that Brandon Beane is the first GM that we've had in a long time who has set the bar for a player here. He said, you're worth $4 million. Tyler, you're worth $4 million. I'm going to offer you 3.45. Do you take it? And Tyler says, yes. Who knows how high Brandon Beane would have gone, but he was not going to go above that bar. And that's one of the things I love. Dan says he likes the Matakovic signing. Marshall says yes. Jeffrey says yes. A lot of people saying yes to the Tyler signing. And, you know, again, I'm on the fence. 3.45 seems like a lot. But I feel like Brandon Beane, Dan is my name, so why don't I call you Dan? I feel like Brandon Beane has done a much better job than previous Buffalo Bills GMs at setting a price for a player and saying, that's your price. That's where I'm going. That's your value in the draft. That's where I'm going. This is what a draft pick's worth to me. That's what I'm willing to give another team to get it. I think Brandon Beane does a great job with that. And I think that's underrated in the NFL. I think Brandon Beane's a very underrated GM right now for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you talk about a guy, again, who has made some questionable decisions, and this Tyler one might be one of them. But he's, for the most part, he's always been a part of the conversation, right? You talk about Antonio Brown. He made the phone call. You talk about Greg Olsen. Hey, he made the phone call. He's continuing to try to make this team better. He's going to do what it takes. He even took the blame. Remember last year at the end of the season? He put the blame on himself for not giving Josh Allen and this offense more weapons. And what does he do? He trades for Stephon Diggs, a guy that immediately makes the Buffalo Bills' top 3 wide receivers one of the best, if not the best, 3 receivers in the NFL. I mean, I just saw a tweet just the other day that listed the top 10 wide receivers in the AFC East, and we have 3 of the top 6. So it's pretty remarkable to see that you know, with Stephon Diggs, with Brown, with Beasley, we have some pretty good weapons now, and that's all because of what Brandon Beane was willing to do. So guys, make sure at the 22nd pick in the NFL draft, just like Brandon Beane said he'll do, put on some Stephon Diggs highlights and realize that's the guy we got. Look up the Minnesota Miracle and realize that that is the guy that we now have in Buffalo. Jacob says, watch Colin Johnson from Texas. Okay, guys, let Jacob know how much. I know Jacob's new to the channel. Again, thank you for joining me. Let Jacob know how much I've been screaming Colin Johnson's name on this channel. I love Colin Johnson. Last year, the guy that I fell in love with in the NFL draft was Bryce Love out of Stanford. I really love the kid. Even in Washington, I want to see him succeed. This year, it's that guy. It's Colin Johnson from Texas. I'm excited to pick him up. I think that, unless a Mims from Baylor is available in the second round, we could definitely wait till the third, maybe even fourth round to pick up a guy like Colin Johnson out of Texas. I'm a big fan. Again, guys, just let him know how much I've been screaming for us to pick up Colin Johnson. Really a big fan. Dan says he's not afraid to move. No, Brandon Beane's not afraid to move. And like I said, in the presser, I feel like he kind of slipped his hand a little bit, talking about moving up into the second round, moving up further to get a guy if he's available to get. So, again, we'll see what happens come the NFL draft. Guys, again, I will be doing a mock draft, and I will be doing a full first-round mock draft and a full Buffalo Bills mock draft. So, make sure you check that out. Guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, like this video. I know a lot of you came over here because of Dan texting you, so I really appreciate you guys spending some of your Thursday night with me and just hanging out. And if you're watching this on the replay, just coming back and checking it out and seeing what I had to talk about the Brandon Beane presser. One thing I want to talk about that wasn't brought up, that I might have talked about a little bit already, is Tre'Davious White. Again, Tre'Davious White's name wasn't mentioned at all in the press conference. When they talk about re-signings, they talk about Matt Milano, they talk about Deion Dawkins, they didn't even talk about Tre'Davious White, and that has me a little concerned. That really has me a little bit concerned about where the Buffalo Bills sit with a Tre'Davious White. Would really love to see them come to a contract agreement this year. As Daniel said, though, that might be something that's further down the line. That might be something that comes next year. You might be seeing Tre'Davious White holding off to see how the other cornerbacks fare that were drafted the same draft year he was, because there were a lot of good cornerbacks drafted in the 2017 NFL draft. So maybe that's what he is waiting for. We'll wait and see. I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens. I do still believe that we will sign Tre'Davious White to a long-term deal. I just think it's taking longer than I would like. You have a star player, you have a stud, you want to keep him. I think this defense is going to revolve around Trey White and Tremaine Edmonds, maybe even throw Ed Oliver in there for a long time to come. And I just hope we keep those three pieces. Those are the three pieces that 5 years down the road I still want to see in a Buffalo Bills uniform. And, so I hope that is what happens. Excuse me there, guys. Colin Johnson is going to be the Nevada Turtles, the new NFL team. Is that, I don't know if Nevada, I think Nevada should change their name. Las Vegas should change their name from the Raiders to something else, but I don't think it will be Turtles, Geek Squad. Thomas Jackson writes in both White and Milano. Yeah, White and Milano are my two big ones, right? I do like Deion Dawkins, but I feel like we can still find a left tackle out there that's comparable to a Deion Dawkins. Again, and Milano, I would love to, but out of those three, it goes Trey White first, and it's not even close, and then Milano second, and then Deion Dawkins. Let me know your order. Trey White, Matt Milano, and Deion Dawkins. Does it differ for you? I feel like most Bills fans will probably have the same three in that order, but let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Don't stress over Beane not talking enough about Trey. Drinking vodka, take it easy. Normally when I drink vodka, I get more paranoid, so I'm not gonna do that, man. Daniel, you're just like Dan. You just want to see me swear on here and go on a rant about how we shouldn't sign Cam Newton again. And guys, if you still think we should sign Cam Newton, you're wrong. I'm sorry to say that. You're just wrong. Again, Dan talked about what it would do to Josh Allen's confidence. We talked about paying a backup quarterback more than a starting quarterback. That just doesn't seem right. The locker room presence that Cam Newton could be, possibly even the locker room bad presence in the locker room in a culture that Brandon Beane and Coach McDermott are trying to bring up. But you do talk about some of the history between Coach McDermott, Brandon Beane, and Cam Newton. Obviously, there's some history there, so they might be looking at him for that way. But who knows? Anthony says he has the same order. Milano whiffed on too many tackles in big spots, says Jack. So, Jack, are you saying you don't want to re-sign Matt Milano? Are you saying you want to go somewhere else? Remember, Matt Milano was a 5th-round draft pick, so maybe we could get a little better at that linebacker position right there where Matt Milano is. And if you guys recall, for the past 2 seasons, Matt Milano has missed time due to injury. So if we're talking about what Matt Milano has done, we need to look at both sides of the narrative here. Jack says think about that sack, right? Think about that missed sack against Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans play in the playoff game. You have Milano right there who can make the sack on Deshaun Watson, just unable to get the job done, and it pretty much cost us the game. Dan says, hell no to Cam. No Cam, toxic in the room, says Dan. Cam is a virus, says Austin Church. No Cam Rick, no Cam Spencer. I completely agree with all of you. I don't know where the Bills fans are coming from saying that we should look at Cam Newton. I don't think we should. I think we got a good guy in Josh Allen. As you saw earlier today, Dan put out a video about Barkley, and it's a good video. He makes some good points in there, so make sure you check that out as well, asking if the Bills should move on from Barkley. And he does talk about some of the possible replacements, and he talks about a guy like a Joe Flacco in it or an Andy Dalton, and maybe those are the type of guys you want to bring in here. But again, maybe for continuity's sake, you stay with Matt Barkley. Not sure. Stop the Cam talk. Barkley is fine for a backup. Great mentor and relationship with Josh Allen. Not only a great relationship with Josh Allen, he also has a good relationship with Ken Dorsey. And like I just said about the continuity, something that I think Scott brought up on a previous stream as well. If he's a good fit, he's a good fit. And that's, according to Brandon Beane, that's what the Buffalo Bills are looking for. So we hope to continue to see whoever our backup quarterback is. Obviously, we want Josh Allen to be the starter, but we can hope to continue to see improvement on this team on all fronts. Can't wait to see Vojo. Talking about Vosean Joseph at that linebacker position, the guy we picked up in the 5th round last season out of Florida. Again, had a great preseason last year for the Buffalo Bills. I'm looking forward to seeing him too, Dan. Hard-hitting guy. Even if he just plays special teams for the Buffalo Bills this year as he continues to learn the position, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we got out of him. Hell no to Cam Newton, poison like Jameis Winston. And you know what, Cam Newton, and you guys might disagree with me on this one, but I believe Cam Newton still deserves a shot to be a starter in the NFL. Whether he joins a team where there's a competition or he's made the starter and depending on how he does in preseason, maybe in the first couple weeks in the regular season, you make a decision after that. But remember, Cam Newton's not that far away from an MVP season, leading his team to the Super Bowl. Couldn't beat the Broncos, but they were going up against Peyton Manning, and it was a lot in the tank. If you ask me, I think he deserves to have a chance to start somewhere. If he comes to Buffalo, he doesn't get that chance unless Josh Allen either A, gets hurt or has a horrendous first 4 weeks of the season. So we'll see what happens. Truth, sometimes gang tackles work against a defense. Maybe talking about that sack, because I believe it was Levi Wallace coming in on the other side, and they kind of collided, and neither one of them were able to hold on to Deshaun Watson. That was Poyer. That was Poyer, not Levi Wallace, as Daniel comes in and says. So we talked about the Brandon Beane press conference. Now what I want to talk about a little bit is the Buffalo Bills salary cap. Again, today we learned about Tyler Matakovic's contract, $3.45 million with $2.45 of that fully guaranteed. Going into dead cap. So yeah, fully guaranteed. He's pretty much guaranteed a spot on the roster for this season. I think that's a big chunk of money for, again, a special teams guy. But if he brings that special teams level up a notch, if he makes us a top 10 special teams unit, or if he helps make the Buffalo Bills a top 10 special teams unit, it's definitely worth the extra $1 or $2 million that I wouldn't have paid him. I was thinking somewhere in the $1.5 to $2 million range, so obviously a little bit more than I was willing to spend on him, almost $2 million more than what I was willing to spend on him, and that's why I'm still questioning this move. But you know what? Brandon Beane has more on the guy than I do, right? They have more knowledge on the guy than I do. Maybe he's worth that $3.45 million, and we'll look forward to seeing that in the 2020 season. But if you look at Spot Track right now, again, without the 3 contracts of E.J. Gaines, Isaiah McKenzie, and Darrell Williams known at this time for next season, the current Buffalo Bills cap space is sitting for their top 51 guys, which is really the cap space you want to look at, is sitting at $22.8 million. So, Brandon Beane did not negate the idea of going after another guy or two in free agency, but he also said another player or two. So the Bills are not going to make any more splash moves, or it doesn't seem like the Bills are going to make any more splash moves in free agency, signing more depth guys, maybe signing another 1 or 2 special teams guys. But they're done. They're not going to sign a Jadeveon Clowney. You might not even see any of who's left on the NFL Top 100 list go to Buffalo. But again, I like the team where they're at right now. I like this roster the way it's built right now. Our true safeties were hidden gems. Am I right? Absolutely, Dan. I think our true safeties are is the best safety tandem in the NFL. I really do. The fact that they both weren't in the Pro Bowl this season, I think, is a shame. But again, I think they're both the best 1-2 safety duo in the NFL. And to add Dean Marlowe to the depth of that unit, I think that's just a great thing for the Buffalo Bills. Again, continuing with that continuity. Talk about signing Poyer to that contract extension. All good things happening. And again, that just puts Beane and McDermott in a place to draft best player available come the NFL draft, come the 54th overall pick. And I'm excited for that, unless, again, they trade up, in which case then we'll see what they give up at that point. What receivers do you think will be cut when 53-man roster is determined? Okay, so right now, let me see if I have my notes. I probably do. Right now, here's the list of wide receivers the Buffalo Bills have on their team. Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, they're all safe, right? 3 for 3, they're all safe. We're talking about possibly keeping 5 or 6 wide receivers on the Buffalo Bills depth chart. So you have those 3, you have 2 or 3 more spots available. Andre Roberts, if you keep Andre Roberts, it's for special teams. Can you find someone to fill that special teams void? Now remember, Andre Roberts was top 10 in punt and kick return yards last season, made it to a Pro Bowl. So is that someone you want to consider on the team? That's someone that's up in the air for me. But let's read these other names. Raymond McLeod, I don't see McLeod making the team unless he has vast improvement from last year. Robert Foster, no, I don't see Robert Foster making this team. I just don't. Duke Williams, that's tough. Nick Easley's a no. And they have Duke Williams and Isaiah McKenzie. So let's say Andre Roberts makes it, right? Because of his special teams capabilities. He was a Pro Bowler last year. So Andre Roberts makes it. That gives us 4. So that gives us 1 or 2 more wide receiver spots on that 53, possibly 55-man roster, depending on when that goes into effect. And I'm looking at Duke Williams, Nick Easley, Isaiah McKenzie, and whoever we draft. And I think whoever we draft is going to make this team. If we draft a Colin Johnson, if we draft someone 6'2" or taller, he's going to be on this team. So do we think Duke Williams, Nick Easley, or Isaiah McKenzie are going to be on this team? I say yes to Isaiah McKenzie. So that means I do not see Ray McLeod, Robert Foster, Duke Williams, or Nick Easley making this team. I see it being Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, Andre Roberts, Isaiah McKenzie, and then whoever we draft. The first wide receiver we drafted, I think we could draft more than one. I think we could pick up a wide receiver as an undrafted free agent. I think there's plenty of ways to go there in the NFL draft. I think Foster, Isaiah, Roberts, and Duke are all 50-50. And I have 2 of those, right? I have Isaiah and Roberts. So we'll see what happens. Thanks a lot, Chris. We'll talk to you later. Thank you for stopping by. Karen writes in, being all business, he knows that the cornerback market was raised during free agency, and he knows what White's going to want, top dollar money. He's working on something. You can say a lot with silence. Yeah, I just want to see it happen, Karen. That's all I want to see. I just want to see it happen. I want to do the video where I come on here and say, breaking news, Trey Wright signs a contract extension worth up to $20 million a season. I don't care. I really don't care. I just want to have that happen, to have that 5-year, $20 million per season type deal. I'm okay with that. What receivers do you think will be? That's what Scott said. What receivers do you think will be cut when 53-man roster? So, like I said, Scott, I think Duke Williams, Nick Easley, and Robert Foster, Ray McLeod get cut. They should draft at least 1 wide receiver and upgrade the 4 to 6 spots at wide receiver. I just think they need to get taller, Daniel. There's no way they're going to let Duke go. He knows the system. So does Ray McLeod. So does Nick Easley. So does Isaiah McKenzie. There are a lot of wide receivers in that group that know the system. And the continuity is important, but you're not losing anything when you keep McKenzie and get rid of Duke Williams. You just don't. In fact, Isaiah McKenzie can help in special teams. Duke Williams, that was one of the reasons why he wasn't on the active roster a lot of last season, is because he can't help on special teams. And if you can't help on special teams, that's a big part of it. If you're wide receiver 4 through 6 on the roster, you got to be able to help on special teams. Now, obviously, Duke Williams is not going to overpass John Brown, Stephon Diggs, or Cole Beasley. He's not a stud. So unless he learns how to help out in special teams, then why have him there? Why have him there if you have a guy who comes in that you draft who's not only a taller wide receiver but willing to help out on special teams? I just don't think that Duke Williams knows the system argument is valid, because you have a lot of guys on this Buffalo Bills roster: Robert Foster, Ray McLeod, Andre Roberts, Isaiah McKenzie. They all know the scheme too. They don't know how it works. Denny Martinez, I really like. Easily, we need to get a good look at him. He's very talented. I think he has good talent to give him a good look. He's going to get a good look. All these wide receivers are going to get good looks. Well, hopefully, unless the season gets condensed. Obviously, the offseason gets condensed. Maybe he doesn't get as good of a look as he deserves. But yeah, I mean, I like to see all these guys get a good look as well. Easily will have a great career with New England's Jack. We know how New England likes to take these off-type receivers and turn them into good wide receivers, but they also had a pretty good quarterback throwing them the ball, right? So now that there's no more TB12, we'll definitely see what happens there in New England. But historically strong wide receiver class, absolutely, Dan. Dan comes in like Hogan. Duke got 6 catches for over 100 yards that last game. He's not a stud. He's not a stud. If he was a stud, why was he on the Buffalo Bills from week 1 to week 16? He's not a stud. He's a good wide receiver, and I like him. I thought I did well in the playoff game, but let's be honest, there were some plays that I thought I could have made it. They left on the field in the playoff game as well. And we have to remember those as well. We have to take the good with the bad. And if Duke Williams make this, I will say what I said last year. A lot of you rode me last year because I did not think Duke Williams was going to make the 53-man roster. If Duke Williams makes the 53-man roster, I'm excited about it. I'm happy about it because that means he's earned that spot. Whoever makes the 53-man roster earned their spot. I understand that. But to me, there is not a single wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills roster that can be considered elite. Elite's for Julio Jones. So no, but you said stud. You didn't say elite. So why am I talking about elite? But if you talk about studs, are Cole Beasley, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs all studs? Or are they really good wide receivers in the NFL? You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. New England's not going to collapse because TB12's gone. We'll see what Bill Belichick has in store for us. I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you. I still think we can overcome it, though. Whatever they throw at us, I think that Buffalo can overcome it. I would not be surprised if we split with New England this season, but I think the Buffalo Bills will have a better record overall. I think that they'll do a good job. As Daniel comes in, Duke dropped a touchdown pass in the Texans game. He didn't. He was there. I'll say that. I don't know if he counted it as a drop. He was definitely there and could have made a play on it. He didn't. But those things happen. And again, that's not a scheme thing. That's just him learning the nuances between him and Josh Allen. And maybe that's what they need to work on. Again, they didn't have all season to do it since he wasn't on the active roster every week. But we'll see what happens. What about tight end Joe Austin? If the only guy I could see us getting is Kmet from Notre Dame, the top tight end in this draft. That's the only one I can see us getting. Other than that, we have 6 tight ends, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, 6 tight ends. We have Croft, Smith, Knox, Sweeney, Kroom, and Becker. So I think we're set at tight ends. If someone falls to us with good value, I think that's great. Last year, we had 5 tight ends on the 90-man roster. This year, we already have 6. So I don't see it as an urgent need for the Buffalo Bills. But if someone like Kmet falls to us in the second round, we should take him. We should take the best player available, and that's what I think the Bills have done so far. Jacob comes in and says Buffalo top 3 receivers in the top. So the top 3 receivers is the top on the AFC. So you're talking about Beasley, Brown, and Diggs being the top 3 best wide receivers. I'm going to say maybe in the NFL. I mean, that's a pretty good trio right there when we're talking about creating space and getting open. I'd put that trio against any trio, I believe, in the NFL right now and say it's pretty dang good. They'll keep Croft, Knox, and draft Kmet. I would love to see them draft Kmet. Again, if you guys don't know, I'm a little bit of a Notre Dame fan. And Kmet to me is just a beast at tight end. I think that he's going to do great in the NFL. Duke had 3 seconds to play with Josh Allen. Don't be so hard on him, in my opinion. Many dropped balls and played all year. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But again, the coaching staff is going to determine that. I just don't see Duke making the 53-man roster. Duke has the best practice film in the league, but he was still on the practice squad, right? He put up all those great catches that we saw on Twitter that were leaked, and yeah, he was still on the practice squad. So what does that mean? What does that tell you about Duke Williams? Either he doesn't know the system, or he didn't know the scheme, or the plays that weren't on film, the plays that didn't make it on Twitter, he didn't look that great. So those are some questions you have to ask yourself. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Billievers Talk. As you know, I go live every single Thursday at 9:30. Been on here for about an hour now. So again, I appreciate you guys joining me. Gonna stay on here for a little bit longer. But if you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Dan and Scott, and there was another guy in there that I want to mention as well. Whoever gave me the super chats, I really do appreciate them. And again, if you guys have something you want me to read on the air, super chats, all the money earned from the super chats goes directly back into the channel. So again, thank you for the super chats, and I really do appreciate you guys joining me. I'm going to go through some questions right now. Has Wade stayed in the States? If he went home to England, he may not be able to get back into the country thanks to the virus. Well, he'll be able to get back into the country when the season starts, right? The NFL's not going to start anything until we have the virus under control. So you figure once the virus is under control, then other countries will start opening their borders back up, including the United States, and he'll be able to come back to the United States. From what I understand, he is back in England, but I have no confirmation of that. That's just third-hand knowledge that I have from a not that great reliable source, but he is back in England, and if he's back in England, then that means right now, you're right, he can't get back into the States. But again, the NFL is not going to start anything until those borders open back up, and then he'll be back allowed to come back over. And again, I'm sure the president, I'm sure others will make exemptions to certain people coming over when they need to as well. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Christian Wade is over in England right now. Thanks a lot, Scott. I really do appreciate that. Guys, in the comment section, I got a question for Bills Mafia right now for you guys joining me. Listen, the NFL draft is obviously changing, right? My initial plans for the NFL draft were actually to go up to Buffalo or to go down to hang out with Louis T as well. I had some plans in the mix to hang out with them because, as I said on here before, I'm not a fan. I'm not here to split up viewers, right? I think Hashtag Sports does a great job, and they normally do draft coverage. I think Buffalo Fanatics, they do a great job. They normally do draft coverage. I think Dan Mafia, they do a good job. I'm not sure if he does draft coverage or not, but I know he does a great job. Cover One, Greg over at Cover One, they do a great job. I normally don't want to add to that, right? You guys have plenty of avenues to go to. In fact, I want to check out what they're saying about the Bills draft picks too, but what do you think I should do this year for the NFL draft? Do you guys want me to live stream the Friday day 2 of the NFL draft? Unfortunately, I will not be able to stream day 1 due to other commitments. But would you guys want me to stream day 2? Let me know in the comment section so I can get your opinion. Dan Mitchell's bogarting it. But again, I don't want to do that. It really sucks that you can't do anything for the draft this year. Yeah, my plan was to go up to Buffalo, hang out with some other YouTube creators, maybe hang out there while they did their live stream. I definitely want to do something like that. But again, due to coronavirus, obviously everyone's stuck there. Scott wants me to go live. We'll see what happens. Why didn't Duke play all 16 games? That's a great question, Jacob. If everyone's talking about how good Duke is, why was Isaiah McKenzie playing over him? Why was Isaiah McKenzie taking his roster spot? And no one has answers for that, other than the front office of the Buffalo Bills, other than the people that make the decisions. And why are we questioning them? I don't understand why we're questioning them. They made a decision. They made a decision to, even though I didn't think it was going to happen, they made a decision to keep Duke on the 53-man roster. I was a little thrown off by that, but I was happy about it because, again, they make those decisions. They know more about these players than I do. They know more about what's best for their team, what's best for this scheme than I do. Duke Williams played in 3 games before the end of the season. Played against Tennessee, caught a touchdown pass. Played against Philadelphia, had 1 catch. Played against Washington, had 1 catch. So they didn't play anymore. Maybe it was something between Josh Allen and him. Maybe they just couldn't get their, everything right between the two of them. I don't know. But there's a reason for it. So we can't look past that. He played in 4 regular season games last year, and one was week 17 when all our backups played, when all our practice squad players were on the roster. Now, did he do well in the Houston Texans game? Absolutely. Did he make some mistakes that he could learn from? Absolutely. Am I saying that if we dropped him, he wouldn't be picked up by somebody else? No, I think he would be. But when you talk about having the best top 3 wide receiving core in the NFL, that leaves less spots available for guys like Duke Williams. That's just how it is. Now, if size matters more to Coach McDermott and to Dabble, then that's where they're going to go. They're going to go with size. And right now, the tallest receiver on the Buffalo Bills roster is Duke Williams. But if they're looking somewhere else, then they'll go with McKenzie instead. Have the Avengers podcast for the draft. I would love that. I think I love when we all get together to do those collabs. I really do. I think they're fun. And I don't even mind that they're not on this channel, even though I love this channel. I love what I do. I love Bills Mafia. You guys make this so much fun. But again, I'm good with anything. I mean, I just enjoy talking about Buffalo Bills football. I think you guys are great. And again, I just love what you guys have done to make this channel a success. But I'm willing to talk Bills football anywhere, at any time. There's not a single day in my life where if someone came up to me and started talking about Bills football, I'd be like, no, not today. Like every day is a good day to talk about Bills football. Every day is good. Like every time I go outside and I look and I say today's a good day to play football, and it's nice weather for football. I say every day is a good weather for football. You can play football in any weather. I love it. But again, guys, thank you for joining me. Again, leave it in the comment section if you're not watching this live. What do you want me to do for the draft? Again, can't do day one of the NFL draft due to previous commitments. Doesn't look like the Bills are going to be very active day one anyway. But what do you want me to do on Friday? I want your opinions because I'll listen to you guys because I appreciate all the things you guys do for this channel. Again, I appreciate all the super chats and I appreciate you guys coming down here and hanging out with me for an hour as we talk Buffalo Bills. Again, Brandon Beane press conference earlier today was on there for about an hour, answered some questions about the draft process with the new environment with the coronavirus, talked about the resigning of some players, didn't mention Tre'Davious White, which again threw up some flags in my head. Talked about the Stephon Diggs trade. Talked about how he's going to be watching some film of Stephon Diggs when that 22 overall pick comes in play. And I look forward to it. And I'll be watching some Diggs highlights as well with them. So again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do,